Welcome back. In this brief lesson, we are going to be looking at the literalness of Scripture, looking at the literal, figurative, and symbolic interpretations of Scripture. Does it matter? Bernard Ram says that conservative Christians are sometimes accused of being wooden headed literalists in their interpretations. Some believe that everything should be understood as metaphors, symbolic allegories, rather than actual historical events. And we see this when people apply allegory to the flood narrative or the creation story. Now, since all words are symbols representing ideas, say, these liberal interpreters, we should not seek to apply words in a strictly literal sense. Conservative theologians agree that words can be used in literal, figurative, or symbolic senses. And we'll do another, there are going to be more lessons on figurative speech and things like that. But we agree that yes, scripture has figurative language, but there is a literal meaning behind the figurative or the symbolic language. So here's an example. Three examples: literal, figurative, and symbolic. The literal, I will stand. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink. This is Exodus 17, Moses. We know this is literal. The rock here is literal because God says, stand by this rock, strike it, hit it, and water will come out of it. This is because contextually we understand the people were complaining here and they're thirsty and they're like, God brought us out here to die. We're thirsty. So God is not going to give them symbolic or figurative water when they actually have a physical need that needs to be met. We look at the rock figuratively in Psalm 18. Yahweh is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge. This is figurative language. He's comparing, he's comparing the qualities and the character of God to the characteristics of a rock. The rock, stability, stableness. You can hide behind it. There's some protection there. So that is figurative language. He's not saying that God is a literal rock, and that's idolatry if you're worshiping a literal rock. Symbolically, 1 Corinthians 10:4, they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. The differences among the three uses of the word rock in those examples we looked at is not that one sense refers to actual historical events while others do not. Literal and figurative expressions usually do refer to actual historical events. And the relationship between the ideas expressed by the words and reality is direct rather than symbolic. However, ideas conveyed in the symbolic language also frequently have historical reference. So therefore, the rock in 1 Corinthians 10:4 is signifying Christ. And so the problems result when readers interpret statements in a mode of the one not intended by the author. So, as much distortion of the author's meaning results from interpreting a literal statement figuratively as it does from interpreting a figurative statement literally. So, reader interpretation, reader response, we're going to get into that as well. If all words are used in some sense symbols, how can we determine when they are to be understood literally, figuratively, and symbolically? And we're going to get deeper into this as we go in the course. The same criterion for determining the valid interpretation of all other types of literature applies here. That is, the words are to be interpreted according to the author's intention. The author's original intent. We're going to hit that so much, probably every lesson we do. What is the author's original intended meaning? If the author meant them to be interpreted literally, we mistake if we interpret them symbolically and vice versa. So context and syntax provide important clues to intent and thus to meaning. So I hope that you enjoyed this brief video on literalness and scripture. Click on the link to get to more videos in this course. This is Rev C saying God bless you. See you on the next video.